the word no to me is always accompanied by a but,
Mm.
right? No,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna try this. And I'm gonna have I done this before? No, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna try it. I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna make sure it
Right.
happens. What if you don't succeed? No, that's not gonna happen. But if I'm not 100% successful at this, I know that there are alternative routes that I can take. Like
Mm.
I always accompany a no with a but because I need to close that sentence. No can't it can't be no period, right?
All right, welcome or welcome back to the Computer Keys channel. I am Marquise, and today we're back with another episode of the My Tech Story interview series. I have Sherhone here with me. We met through Shannara, who, well, at the time of recording this, I just dropped her episode, I think, like 2 weeks ago. By the time this comes out, I don't know how long it'll be, but thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to join me and share your story.
Absolutely.
All right, so
Thanks for having
of course,
me. Yeah, thanks for having
of
me. I'm
course.
excited to be here, excited to impart knowledge. So I'm ready to get
Yeah,
into
it's
it.
good. I know we were supposed to do this like I guess a week ago, or but yeah, either way, I'm glad we finally doing it. So we're gonna start by getting to know a little bit about you. So you don't got to remember everything I'm gonna say. Just I'll keep you on track though. So um, your name, age, location, hometown, race or ethnicity, some fun facts, and then like some interests outside of tech. Outside of what you do.
Yeah. So my name is Sherhone Grant. I'm 32 years old. I'm currently located in New York City, specifically from the Bronx. I was born and raised in the Bronx, but I am of Caribbean descent. My parents are Jamaican, so I grew up in a completely Jamaican household. Some I identify as black, with just Caribbean heritage. For me, fun facts about me: I love to cook, I love to dance, and I love studying different languages. Outside of tech, I love solving like puzzles. I'm like a super Sudoku head. I've even taken it up a notch and gone to do like Hakuro puzzles, just another Japanese math puzzle game. So if you're interested, definitely get into it. It's math on math on math. So that's definitely something that I do outside of tech.
Mm-hmm.
Semi-related in terms of the way you think, but it definitely just something that I love to do. So math puzzles is definitely something I do outside of
Yeah,
tech.
I
But other
definitely.
than that, that's what
I want to hear more about that. I've never even heard of that.
yeah, Kakuro is a very it's not complex. Like you can even get like belts in it, so you can get white belt, yellow belt, green belt, black belt in it. Think about the Sudoku on steroids. So I definitely drop a line and like show you what it looks
Say it
like.
again.
But essentially,
What's the name?
Kakuro. Yeah, Kakuro. So Kakuro.
Yeah,
Kakuro.
I've never heard of that. That's definitely,
But definitely something that I do in my spare
yeah.
time. I love math puzzles or just puzzles in
Mm,
general. A lot of logic games. You'll see like I like puzzles to try to like just fix things or figure things out. That's something that I'm highly interested
mm,
in. So I try to keep myself occupied outside of tech with
that's
that.
cool. I like that. Definitely gotta. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll Google it first before I like. I don't even know.
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, if you get stuck on a puzzle, you want me to do a tutorial, feel free. I definitely make some time for
yeah,
that because I'm trying to bring people
yeah.
in. Um, People don't know about it. I'm like, well, how? It's
Mm,
so amazing. But definitely look into, enlighten people, bring them to, the level of
mm.
just doing it because there are people doing it, probably just don't know about it.
You know,
So,
I
yeah.
love puzzles and stuff like that too. So yeah, yeah. Put me on. But you mentioned uh, you're Jamaican. Are your parents? Are you like first generation American? Like, when did they come here?
They came here in their mid 20s. So I am like the first generation to come from that
Mm,
lineage
mm,
here. So they're like the pioneers. Like I am first gen. So you get all of that imparted on you, which
yeah.
is not, I would say, a struggle, right? It's just something that when you're coming from a different country, you have a different perspective of what life can be. They definitely imparted those just a different standards,
Mm,
way of thinking. Everything's education, education,
mm,
education, or just learning a trade, making sure that you're valuable in society and you can actually work and build yourself
mm,
up. So I definitely take those life lessons with me in everything that I do, and one of the reasons why I even got into tech, which we'll definitely get
mm.
into, it's kind of what they've imparted onto me. So
Yeah. That's something I've noticed with people that I've spoken to that are like first generation. Um, they I don't want to say it's like extra pressure, but like you said, that understanding of like that the way life could be. Um, I guess my main question here, my follow up is like, how often do you go back to Jamaica and like get in tune with that side of your that culture or your
yeah, so I definitely go back at least a minimum once a
mm,
year. I try to go back at least once a year. Only time that I did not go to Jamaica once a year was when COVID happened, and they put those. I even booked a flight during
mm,
COVID time when they had like certain freezes.
mm,
But I try to go back. My parents definitely sent me back to kind of go. It's to the point that now I just go by myself. So I'm very in tune with the community that well, at least my mom comes
mm.
from, and I grew in that. So I still have those. So it doesn't feel like it's foreign to me. I feel like that's someplace I grew up
Right,
as well.
right. That's cool. I got my passport last year. The first place I went was Jamaica, and I had a good time.
Nice.
Yeah, um,
It's definitely a vibe for
yeah, for sure. I had a good time. You mentioned, oh, you said liking to cook and dance. Does that go back to your heritage, like your culture? Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I figured.
Absolutely. Yes. Um, definitely come from the Caribbean culture. It's just I just love the dancing. I like the expression. I
Mm,
like the fact that I'm good at
mm,
it, right? Like that's one of the reasons. And then the cooking, it's just something that I like to do. I think my family grew us up on we're from the country,
yeah,
so country in Jamaica. So like everything is like making sure people are well fed and taken care of and like how you show love, maybe not through, vocally is like I'm gonna make you this onslaught of food and then
yeah,
feed you with love.
yeah.
So something that I just always felt like really cared for and really loved by is just when someone go out of their way to kind of that act of
Mm-hmm.
service, cook family meals when you're talking, chopping it up with your family, going over old
Yeah.
memories, how they used to live, how they used to be, and just over a meal. That's something that just rings dear to my
Mm,
heart.
I like that. Do you see yourself going on like a this? I guess this will be my last question before we move on. Like a cooking show or something? Because I've been seeing like a lot more like home
I,
cooks on those shows now.
Yeah, I watch those shows habitually. Like I really watch America's Next Home Chef. I am like addicted to Gordon Ramsay. Like I even went ahead with his restaurant. I'm like, what is the hype? What is this Wellington? Like I'm really into it. If I feel like I've gotten to the place where I can mix those flavors, because I'm so like I've expanded my palate.
Mhm.
Because sometimes when you're in a culture, they're like, don't try nothing else. This is all
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Being able to expand and try different things from like different parts of Asia, different African cuisines. So just really want to expand my palate before I say I'm
Mm.
ready for like the
Right,
next, home chef.
right.
Then you may see me on.
Bet, bet. we go. I'm gonna look forward to that. All right. So yeah, I think that was all I had for that. So we can get into like your actual story now. So we're gonna start with what do you do for how long, and if you feel comfortable like a salary or a salary range. Some people don't want to share, so that's up to you.
Because it's public and like not every it's all on tiers, I can share the tier. I'll
Okay.
share the
Yeah.
range
Yeah.
so that they can actually know what the range is. And then go from there. So for me, I'm a data
Mm-hmm.
scientist. I am a data scientist, and currently my niche focus, because I love math so much, I do a lot of predictive analytics and a lot of like predictive machine
Mm-hmm.
learning. So essentially, a lot of like aside from like predictive machine learning, I'm more of a flow optimizer, like a process flow optimizer. If there's something in your process flow that is not working or can save you money if we were to optimize that process, you'll come to me. I'll research that background and say, okay, these are the different things that go into this process flow. How can we use machine learning to predict when you're going to have another issue? And if you do have another issue, how can we prevent that from happening again? And me, like, essentially having the answer to that problem is what I do on a day to day basis or on any projects that I'm on.
Okay. I got a few questions. So when you say processes, are you working with, let's say, businesses? Like, let's say I'm coming to you, I have a business, and there's like a bottleneck at the shipping portion of my process. you're
Right.
looking at the data for that portion of the
Yeah.
process, and then
Hmm.
being like, okay, well, it's looking like your shipments are coming in at this time, and because of that, is there's like blockage here or something like what goes into determining I don't know what goes into like
That negative outcome, right?
yeah
Like
like
that's what I call it. The negative. What goes with the negative
right
outcome for that process
right
flow? So that's a great question, right? I said a lot, so let me break it down a little more. Essentially, I look at the data as a whole. I look at the business as a whole. I want to know what you do at 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to know what you do at 9 o'clock in the p.m. I need to know all the different like. So I'm gonna look at what you like. Let's say my negative outcome is that I lose in terms of data like product quality.
uh-huh,
It diminishes from 97% product quality to about 77%. And it pretty much happens between this window of 7 to 9.
uh-huh,
Now I'm like, okay, what happens from 7 to 9 that seems to diminish your product quality? Let's take a look into what goes into that process flow. How many men do you have on staff? That's a feature. That's something that I'm gonna take into consideration. What are you doing at that time? Is there a change of shift? What's going on in the whole business as a whole? And then I'll look at the different inputs that go into that process flow and then create a model that can predict when that next failure in that process flow is going to happen and then what exactly is a key indicator in that process that's causing that breakdown.
damn. All right. So as far as building a model, is it like a software you're using, or are you building these from scratch? Like, are you just coding these out? Like, how does that work?
I'm building them from scratch because each problem is unique. So like it's you can get a template, but like essentially you're still gonna have to build off the template and make it your own. So like you could either so like there's two things, right? You can use machine learning to predict the negative outcome, or you can use simulation modeling, which takes you can create a virtual um, copy, like a digital twin of the actual business environment. Like let's say we have a warehouse, we have the entire spread. You can make a digital copy or a digital twin of that warehouse in the virtual world and start putting pressure to different parts of the actual system. And say, okay, if I break this, what happens? What will be the process? What would happen in the process flow? I'm going to break this portion of it. Or let me apply pressure to this specific part of the process flow. And let's see what happens to the business and what does happen. And then if in fact applying pressure doesn't happen, nothing happens there, then let me move on to another part in the process flow. And I'll keep applying pressure, testing out different things in that model to see, okay, this is what really affects the business. This is what you need to be concerned about. This is how you improve. And this is what you need to do going forward. And then that saves, if you're going to save, let's say over the span of a year, $1 million versus bleeding $1 million, that turns into revenue. You can reallocate those funds to
Right.
something else because it's all about making sure you optimize on your revenue and kind of use that in order to invest in things that actually matter for the business.
Um, I think what's intriguing me the most is this model portion of it. This you said simulation model or the machine learning. I don't know how much time I want to spend on like asking you technical type questions, but uh,
I think this is the time, right? Like for those who are hearing from a black woman
right.
in data science, I think this is definitely the time. So ask the questions,
Okay.
ask
All
away.
right. So, what language are you using when you're like building these out from scratch? Like, what technologies are you using?
So if I'm doing run of the mill data science, which is my primary focus right now, or just practical machine learning, I'm using Python.
Hmm.
If I have to use R, I'll use it. If I have to do, review a data lake, I'll use SQL for some data manipulation. But for the most part, primarily 95% of my day is in
I think
Python.
I lost you for a second. You say sometimes you use SQL for data manipulation, and then you run out. You like pause for a second.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna, yeah, if I'm going to like a data lake, I'm trying to gather data sets together.
Hmm.
I'm gonna build like a data warehouse. I'll use SQL. I'll use R for some statistical methods that may not be allotted for me in Python, but 95% of my day is in
Hmm.
Python.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Okay. So the business, I guess, is gonna be my last like, how does it work type of question, maybe. But all right. So I come to you with my business. We find our bottleneck. You build out a model. As let's say my business is making these hoodies, right? I have a manufacturer.
Okay.
I have a um, shipping, whatever. I got these different things. I got the point of sale where people buy it. Each process. So your Python code, your program is going to have these different sections and like modeled out basically. That's where it's like I'm like,
Yeah. There's definitely simulation modeling, right? That's one hand,
mm-hmm,
and then you have machine learning, right? You can use them together, and you can also use them independently. So like simulation modeling uses something called AnyLogic where you can build out simulation models. And that's like a digital twin of like the business environment. You can look at the different, apply pressure in different areas, and then you can build out the business in a digital aspect,
mm-hmm,
right? Then you can also use machine learning where you have a negative outcome. Like let's say I'm like that breakdown in the process floor, like you have a negative outcome that you want to avoid. You can look at the business process from a different perspective, use a machine learning to predict what causes that negative outcome. So you can use them together because you can create the digital space and say, okay, let me create a sandbox for my business. Let me see what the business looks like in the digital
mm-hmm,
world, right? And then you apply the pressure in different parts. You build out the different parts in your process flow, and then I'll take the data now. Obviously, I'm going to have the simulation model run out, look at how everything works. It does make sense. Is there a breakdown in the process flow in the digital sense? Like, can I see it from the digital sense? Can I see the breakdown in the process? And then if I'm not able to see it there, right? And this is not always. Sometimes you can just use machine learning and move forward with it. I'm going to have that negative outcome, that negative target. And I always call it a target because we're always looking for something,
mm-hmm.
right? We're having an goal. And I can use all the data allotted to me, get that information together, and once that information is together, use that to predict that target and say this is what's causing us to have that negative target or have that target that we're looking
All
for.
right.
So those are two different processes, but they all you can use them
Mm-hmm.
together. You can use them independently, or you could just use one or the other.
I guess. All right. So my last question for real this time is
Okay.
how accurate would you say it is? Like we target this one thing, we use machine
Right.
learning or whatever we use to get it. We target it, we found it, and that was the thing. That was what it was that was causing this bottleneck or whatever. Like how accurate do you think it is?
So sometimes you're able to kind of gauge because like there's different steps. So like when you have like that exploratory phase where you're using a different model to kind of let's say like logistic regression. Like I'm pretty sure people in data science world or just in anywhere are used to logistic regression. If we're not using logistic regression, we're using different models within sklearn, which is a Python library that has different models that you can use to predict or use to do predictive
Mm-hmm.
analytics. And you can kind of see using like different statistical methods, like using an AUC curve, that can kind of tell you, hey, you're like 78% accurate on this, right? And then you can use that model to kind of validate if you get more new, get new information in. So it all depends. You can be as accurate as your data allows you to
Mm-hmm.
be, but sometimes you're not that accurate. Sometimes you just have models that are not that accurate, but they do provide some insight. You take that information back and see if there's anything you can pull from it. You want to improve it. Obviously, we want to have great models, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
realistic. In terms of like when I say great models, like 95% accuracy, that's very, very difficult to achieve sometimes, depending on the business problem you're trying to solve. But for the most part, if you're able to kind of get more data, more information, it definitely helps will improve your accuracy. But it ranges. Sometimes I'm going through a business and I'm going through trying to solve a business problem and I get like a 65%
Mm-hmm.
accuracy. Am I gonna just throw the entire model away?
Uh,
No, I'm not. And hello, I'm not gonna throw the whole entire model
hold
away,
on,
but I am gonna consider that some
hold on.
use
You you
there.
you froze for a second. Uh,
Okay,
you said
sorry about that. I think it's just
65%
mhm.
accuracy, and then it froze for a second.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll have models that produce like a 65% accuracy. I don't throw the entire model away, but there is some insight, some limited use to it, right? There's some insight there that I can pull from it and say, okay, well, I didn't find a great model. My accuracy on this model wasn't the best, but I do have some insight into what may be leading to it just because of what I
Mm-hmm.
found when I did run that. So it's just all depends. Like there's so many different ways to do different things. It's just a matter of just constantly staying curious, staying ambitious in terms of how you want to answer that
Mm-hmm.
problem, and just use the best solutions that you have at hand until you find the best solution. And if you don't find one, that's okay
Right.
too. Maybe there really isn't a problem. There's no way to really predict it, or you may need new data indicators to help you find that
Right.
target. So there's a world of different ways you can solve different problems, but that's just how I do mine on my day to day.
All right. I'm gonna have to get you back on this, John, to like have something specifically about this because I'm curious. I know people gonna be curious about it too. You about to have me like going to watch some YouTube videos or something after this because I'm curious.
Well, don't let me go make research. I hope I'm not giving you
I
homework.
mean,
Like,
a little
so you need to.
bit. All right. But all right. So you've been doing it. How long have you been doing this specifically? I don't know if I caught that in this job specifically. So like, how long have you been doing it, and then like for at this job?
So I've been at the firm for going on 2 years, and I've been doing this specifically for that entire amount of
Mm.
time.
So that puts you around like
Yeah.
30. So what were you doing before that?
So I guess this goes into your next question. I would assume like how I even got to data science, like how did I
Mm.
even get into tech to
Yeah.
begin with, right? So initially, I started out wanting to be a doctor, and I was did the whole thing, got a degree in biology, did the whole orgo, did the bio, did the chemistry, and I'm so sorry
It's fine.
for the party in the back. I guess for my cheerleader, right? Nonetheless, I wanted to be a doctor. Come from Caribbean background,
Mm.
I was like really impressed upon that, and I really did have good, science, chemistry, physics, and math skills. But I really hated biology. Like
Yeah.
it was just not my thing.
Mm.
I kept through it. I pushed forward, got the degree. I'm like, all right, I got this degree. Now what? I don't care to be in this particular space, but I got the degree. Let me see what I can do with it now that I have it. So essentially, what ended up happening is that all right, I took those skills and I worked for the Department of Health for New York City.
Mm.
I started off working in New York City Department of Health, Department of Hygiene's daycare inspection program. So I inspected daycares across New York City, making sure that they like met all safety
Mm.
codes. I knew all the regulations like the back of my
Mhm.
hand, and I applied basically my public health, my biology degree to answer public health issues within New York
Right.
City. Working with New York City, you'll wear different hats. Especially when you work for Department of Health, because anytime there's a crisis, if you're familiar with New York City, uh, you end up responding, especially if you have the skills and the know-how. Worked there for, got promoted, moved up to be a supervisor in the Department of Health. I started transitioning over to lead poison
Mm.
prevention. I ran different, any endemic you can imagine, Zika, measles happened here, COVID.
Mhm.
I was a part of the initiative in order to kind of help that move along. So any public health crisis. Essentially, how I got into data now is like there was an pandemic here, which was measles outbreak in 2019. In 2019, we had a really bad measles issue that affected a lot of people, especially particularly in Brooklyn, and it spread quite rapidly. I got pulled in on a task force to kind of help eradicate that issue, or just not eradicate it, but more so monitor how it was progressing, see if we can get anyone out there to kind of assist them,
Mhm.
provide information, what it can, the implications it can have to pregnant women, especially if they contract measles and their
Yeah.
fetus. Um, you know, so went on that task force and was gathering data, processing information, transforming it using Excel on a day-to-day basis, and
Mm.
stepped really outside of the norm for my job. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love
Mm.
this. Like, how do I do this 24/7, 8, right? Like, I want to do this all the time. So I started looking around. I love math. I love all these different things. Like, how can I do this? And is there anything that's just for this, like this data transformation process, gathering information, storytelling? When I went on this Google search down a rabbit hole that I am so happy that I did, I ended up finding that there's a thing called data science. It was a new emerging branch, and I was like, oh, let me do some more research. Started, I've always been good with computers ever since I was a kid. Just literally had like just really good with it
Mm.
overall. I could fix a computer without even knowing how to program. And we were doing that. If you're from the age of like Facebook, or even back when
MySpace.
MySpace was a
Yeah.
thing, we were doing HTML before HTML was really HTML, right? We were doing it before we even knew we were coding and
Mhm.
programming. So those things came naturally to me, and then I said, you know what, I'll just go ahead and get a master's degree in it and see what happens. End up loving it, and I have never looked back since. I applied for different jobs. I had a lot of wealth of experience and a different purview than, in the private sector.
Mm,
And I said, let me try my footing there and see what happens. And like I said, I just literally bet on myself, like always bet on the house because the house always
mm.
wins. And that's how I ended up here
Wow, wow,
almost 2 years
wow.
later.
Dang. Dang. So you was not even like in tech, but the what do I call it? That can't think of the word, but like the technical know how. I guess I'll just say that it was there. That was a good segue though. So the next question is what or who first got you interested in tech? So it sounds like you mentioned like back in the day, even as a kid, you were good with computers and everything like that. Um,
Yeah.
prior to that, to working your normal job and then learning that this other portion of it that you've been doing is something that you actually love. Before that situation, was there a time where you saw yourself doing anything tech related?
No, I actually thought I would like end up being like a math teacher,
Mm,
or just something in math because I was just like, I just feel like people need to love this subject more. I keep every time we talk about math, they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
I hate it," and I'm like, "But
yeah, I love
why? It's
math
in
too.
everything.
Yeah.
Like it's perfect. It's everything. You can't do A without B
Hmm.
without considering something math." I was just like, maybe I might go and change the world or change the world's perception, especially for minorities and especially Black children, on how they view math. Because I've never really, especially growing up, I never heard any great things about math or how our association with math. And math is so
Yeah.
powerful in terms of all of I guess, the jobs that are really ruling right now, aside from those in the medical field, which you still need a little bit of math to do that
Hmm.
anyway. These jobs require a good background in math, and I feel like that foundation is missing. So that was something that I really wanted to kind of, if I didn't do this, I would definitely be doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I love math so much. It's like it's one of the few things that's like the same in every language. Like it don't matter where you at. Like the math is math. But what's funny is Shannara was big on like reading. She was a reading teacher, so she's big on like reading and making sure that people can like fully comprehend and everything. And then you're big on math. It's just kind of like a you do need both like to be successful in everything. But it's just a funny like kind of I don't know parallel there. So when you decided to do the let me see what's taking the original plan. All right, so I'm gonna go into this next one, which is what's tech the original plan. You know it wasn't, but like once you decided that, um, okay, let me get my master's, and we about to get into your school and everything, but you decided to get the master's in data science. At that point, were you like, I'm about to transfer, like I'm about to pivot into a whole new career, or were you just like, let me just get it and see?
Well, if you know me, if I feel convicted about something, there's nothing can stop me. So I was like, I'm gonna try this, and there's no failure, right? Like there's because I always believe like the word no to me is always accompanied by a but,
Mm,
right? No,
mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna have I done this before? No, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna try it. I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna make sure it
right.
happens. What if you don't succeed? No, that's not gonna happen. But if I'm not 100% successful at this, I know that there are alternative routes that I can take. Like
Yeah.
I always accompany a no with a but because I need to close that sentence. No can't it can't be no period,
Mm-hmm.
right? A no is not the end of my sentence, like or any sentence that I use. No just gives you a response. It doesn't give you the
Mm-hmm.
answer. So that no period doesn't work for me. It's no comma but, and then finish that sentence, finish that
Yeah.
response, so that you have a complete answer. And for me, I never thought, honestly, I don't know if it's just me being like the Jamaican in me just being boasty. I just didn't think that I was gonna fail at anything because I feel like in my mind, in how I'm just so convicted about what I do and whenever I do something, I'll walk without steps being there because I just know I'm not gonna fall.
Yo.
So just having
Yeah.
that confidence in myself, even if I know, even I could have gone into anything, right? Could have been, I don't know, aerospace technology. But I am so confident and convicted in what I believe in
Yo.
myself that I know I just was not going to be successful. So I'm like, and if you ask my friends, I'm like, no, But you know what I mean? And then that's how we go to the next phase. And I have a kid. So like, maybe that's a fun fact about me. I'm a mom
Mhm.
at that, and a single mom at that made that transition.
Right.
And I'm just so, and not just powered by just the fact that I have to show her that, okay, you can pivot, bet on the house and win. But it's something that is possible. I don't care what you look like, what background
Mhm.
I grew up in the Bronx. I came from immigrant parents that are first generation who came here and learned how to be here, right? You have to learn how to be here in order to survive here,
Right.
right? And then on top of that, doing this by myself, putting myself through grad school and making sure, like, having that conviction and being so confident that I know something better is going to
Mm.
come will automatically conjure what's coming next to you. So for me, it was just like, all right, cool, I'm going to make this pivot. I know what my strengths are, I know what I can do, and I know what I can't do. So what I can't do, they're going to teach me. What I can do, I'm going to bring to the table.
Wow.
And once I did that, having that in me, like, it just clicked. And honestly, whenever I see doors close, it was, and I say this, and I really, I don't want to sound like I'm preaching anything, but I literally went. Some things in your life will come up, and maybe because it's my age now, I'm getting a little older. Things will flow when it's for you,
Mm.
right? I literally had every door. When the financial opposition, they were like, "Okay, here's a scholarship." I'm like, "Oh, a scholarship." And I'm like, hey, there's my story. And she was like, I'm glad you told me your story, because because financial burden is the no, right? Well, we don't have enough money. So no money, but what's the next option?
Mhm.
Okay, tell your story. Okay, this is who I am. Here's a scholarship, is what they told me. Complete the degree, is what they told me. All right, cool. And it kept being door open, door open. When I felt like it was a no, there was that but. And it came through in, here's money, here's tutoring, here's what you need to be successful. You've never done this before, here's the answer to
Mm.
that. And I had so much support that it was just like the world, the universe was telling me, you made the right
Mm.
decision. Because the universe will tell you no, God will tell you no in an instant. Like, you'll just see the things will just flop off, won't continue. It'll be just so difficult for you to get something done. But once it's for you, which this was for me, and I'm like very happy and content where I am, things kept flowing like a river. And you're gonna have obstacles, because I'm not gonna say that I didn't face obstacles, but those obstacles didn't deter me or completely veer me off course. I'm literally ended up where I wanted to be, or beyond what I saw for
Right.
myself, especially making a at this point.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I relate to everything you said. It's this feeling of you so secure and confident in your abilities that it's like no matter what happens, you know you're gonna be good, and I relate to that so much. For real, like even taking my job that I have now, like I was comfortable in my last one, but it's like I know that with this position, with how I am, I'm gonna be able to move up and do what I'm doing now. But the stuff I'm doing now, I just got promoted recently, so like that mindset of like
Right?
thank you that I'm a like no matter what happens I'm gonna be good. I love that, yo. I'm so happy you brought that just now. Damn, you was spitting.
I hope I can bring it to others too, but I'm telling you, I think one thing I will say of everything that I've learned so far is that you have to be honest with yourself as well, right? Because like there were days when I was like, oh my gosh, this paper, this coding assignment, and I was just like, well, who got the assignment,
Yeah,
right? Who got the assignment? It wasn't given to you by
right,
accident, right? You have to
yeah.
get the assignment for you to get to that understanding. And once you're done with the assignment, it's going to, I can't even remember grad school at this point, right? I was stressing so
Right.
hard over those 2 years, 2.5 years for what? Just to still be here, almost going on 2 years later, doing the same job that I said I was going to do at the start of this
Mm.
journey. So, if there's anything, be honest with yourself. Know what you can do and what you can do, but what you will learn how to do. Because there's nothing but the barrier between what you know and what you don't know is what you need to learn,
Mm.
and just staying over it. Period.
Man, ooh, you came in this show spitting tonight. You said you wasn't preaching, but you preaching. You giving some real some real stuff tonight. All right, let me see where we at. All right, cool. So we got into why you pivoted, or how you pivoted. But I do want to briefly get into like where you went to school and everything. So the next question is, where did you go to school? Um,
Right.
you mentioned your bachelor's, but I don't think I caught exactly what your bachelor's was in. Was it biology or was it? It was biology.
Okay, cool. It was in human
Oh,
biology.
okay.
So like I literally wanted to work with, yeah, as a doctor, they suggested me to go, like I went to University at Albany, SUNY Albany, so UA, you know.
Mm,
I went there, I did my undergrad and I finished it. I got curious. So, like, just to give you all the steps, I got curious about math. I'm like, maybe I should do this math thing. And it wasn't like I had any blockers. I revived my love for it by taking like some non-matric courses that I ended up transferring. I did at a community college. I say, okay, am I really good at this? Like, am I as good as I say that I am? Got some funding from the city to kind of pay for those courses, and I did them. I'm like, oh crap,
mm,
I am good at this stuff. I really do. I built my confidence up through those courses,
mm.
especially because they were sponsored. I said, why not, right? And then after that, I applied to Syracuse University, and Syracuse University is where I got my master's degree in data science and data engineering.
Wow. The next part of this question is, what do you do to gain knowledge now? So I know you went through school, but and especially with the data science stuff, I'm hoping that you might have like some tools or something that you use to specifically to learn that. Um, but yeah, what do you do to gain knowledge now? Like, are you on YouTube, LinkedIn Learning? Like, what do you do?
I'm a slave to medium.com.
Medium.
Medium.com. Medium.com towards datascience.com. It was originally towards datascience.com, but now they just have medium.com. I would suggest any data scientist, anybody in any field, specifically in data science, Medium should be paid at $50 and get that annual subscription for Medium. Number one, the tutorials that they have on there are bar none. They put the code up there so you can see step by step how it's done. Thinking like a data scientist. They have articles about the latest and the greatest in technology. What are we doing in LLMs, right? Because I may not be doing LLMs on a day to day, but I still
You
need
need
to
to
know it just
know.
to be able to rise to the occasion just in case. But medium.com is like my warehouse. That's what powers me to know what's going on in the world, what's going on in AI, how is my job going to change, what's going to be the way of work in the future. So I would suggest anybody in any field, particularly in this tech field, Medium should be like your best friend. You should check it every single morning, and you should be reading those articles for sure.
I just wrote it down. I'm about to see what's up. I ain't never heard of it. But yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping. I was hoping you had something exactly like that where I could just check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Go there. I mean, honestly, when you go there and you're like amazed by what you see, come back and then you
all
let me know
right,
how much it changed
all
your
right,
life,
Sina.
because that kind of changes things.
Okay,
Trust me.
all right, but all right. So this next question, it's a little touchy, I guess, but I like getting into this because I think these stories need to be told. So your experience as a first generation Jamaican black woman, what has your experience been like? Um, I guess you could talk about from your previous career to now.
Yeah.
Maybe even compare. Like, what has your experience been like?
What I will say is like I'll talk about my previous experience and how. So for me, what I've noticed as a black woman in any field is just that the fact that I have the answer often shocks the people who ask the
Mm,
question. And that right there, just the fact that I have the answer is often shocking to the people that ask the question. And I say that twice because I'm standing on business on that
mm,
one. What I've noticed in my previous career is that I will notice that there's an issue, call out the issue, and hey, here's a solution to that problem, right? Because I've always loved process optimization or like fixing issues. Like it's just been a thing. I didn't realize how much I love it, but like I was doing it already, but I was just doing it in a different facet, right? Um, but as a black woman, it just almost feels like in my previous experience that people were okay with the bare minimum, and creating that change wasn't, if it wasn't broke, don't fix it.
mm,
And I was a part of a lot of initiatives with the city, which they're still using to this
mm,
day, that help optimize their process flow. They went from writing on paper to now making digital, making a paper that they were using digital so they can have it written properly, right? Because everybody writes differently.
mm.
Optimizing that process well. So if I'm taking you from paper to digital, that there in itself lets you know we're optimizing the
Yeah.
process, right? Because now we're saving money on duplicate paper, right? That's $40,000 when you order every quarter. Now we're taking that $40,000. Can you reinvest that into the people that are working for you, right? That process flow alone. Um, then how do you save this, right? There's a whole cloud. There's a whole cloud infrastructure. Can we use it? They help implement that,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a Dropbox that saves all of these digital paperwork in there by their
Yeah.
name, by their
Right.
date, and if I, now we've optimized the process flow because now we're not saving paper, we're not harboring space, we're not scanning things in. It's already in once it's written. Process optimized right there. That's a time save.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can help more children, help more people who need our services in the public health sector. So for me, like that's, and then I realized like, oh crap, I've been doing this for quite some time. I like solving these kinds of issues. And as a black woman, having that answer, sometimes they don't take you seriously. Sometimes I've had to rely on, okay, listen, I need you to back me up on this. I have to pitch my answer to a solution, and then for it to even be heard, because I need to have an advocacy for that. So that was my previous experience. Um, that was my previous experience. It's just the fact that I had the answer. People were just often shocked or like often didn't believe that the answer could be the answer or it could be so simple. Just because I was the person who came with that answer or that solution.
Yeah. All right. Um. Damn. Okay. So in those moments, this is what I'm saying. Like it'd be a lot to hear these Jones, but like it gotta be told. So in those moments, like what are you doing? And I asked somebody, another black woman, this is like you don't want to be. You want your solutions, your voice to be heard. But if you do too
Mm-hmm.
much, then you could come off like the angry black woman type, whatever.
Oh
So
yeah.
what for one, how are you finding that balance? Like what do you do to make sure that this solution that you know is good is like heard? Like what are you doing?
So one thing I would suggest anybody read. My cousin Jamar Bather, who is someone who I really look up to in my life, gave me a book called The 48 Laws of
Mm,
Power. And they speak to the fact of how, you can have a predecessor, you can have like, they even gave references to like when you're working for the king or queen of a particular country or a monarch, right? How to make sure the king still kings, but you're the one who made the king make that decision,
mm,
right? That the king was still king, but you're the one who helped the king make that decision. And it was all coming from, so I had to learn which strings to pull, who I needed to talk to, who do I need to voice those concerns to, who was going to hear me the way I needed to be
mm,
heard. Identifying those people, right? Because everything eventually becomes a game of chess. Like, who would I need to speak to? How would I need to message this? And how would I need to tell it to the person that needs to hear it? So that when they hear it, they act on it the way that it needs to be acted upon. And like just reading that book and taking just tutelage from that book alone helped me change the way number one I think and how I operate in
mm.
general, so that I can get what I need to get done, but in the manner in which I know it needs to get done in order to be successful.
Right. Wow.
Does that answer your question? No, I do want to answer your question. Like I hope that answer what you're trying to ask me.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes my camera goes out. But yeah, no, that answered the question. So now with the like your current career, like what has that experience been like as a black woman?
Can I? And to be completely honest, I have had the ability to just what I won't say that in the work world, that I think people needed to warm up to the idea that there's a new face behind the work. I think that that was like just understanding like, okay, they don't necessarily challenge me. But I've had to earn the fact that I know what I know. I had to earn the respect. Like, do you know what you know? Do I feel like had to earn it longer? Um, Maybe. I can't say yay or nay because I haven't seen. I was since I've already started since I had previous experience and I was able to lead myself. I was able to kind of come with that supervisory experience, how to manage a project. Came out the gate running, right? So yes, I had to earn like yes, I know what I know and this is what it is. And yes, I did have to kind of prove myself a bit. But at the same time, once I showed that I knew what I knew and you could trust me, I haven't had any type of like back, any real challenge, to be honest with you. I become the person now, and I honestly respect the kind of freedom that I have to kind of like, okay, this is what I suggest, and it's being heard the way that needs to be heard. Um, and all my solutions are taken the way that it needs to be, implemented the way that it needs to be in order for them to kind of get the answer to the problem they're trying to solve as well.
That's good because I'm thinking like you being new, it can like play a part in that, but also more so the fact that you come in with that experience already, that kind of swagger of a leader. You know what I'm saying already. That plays a part in it too. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get this other camera. I'm sorry.
Not a problem. No, you're fine.
So you mentioned having to kind of, I guess, prove yourself a little bit, kind of in both. In your previous career, you had to, I guess, pull strings a little bit more. Do you feel like it was easier to, quote unquote, prove yourself in like the data science sector, like this current stint of your career compared to before?
I feel like in data science, I had to prove myself, and it was harder because I was just really my own worst critics, right? Because I made this change, I was constantly doubting myself, like, I know this, but I haven't had the opportunity to do this just yet. But I will try my best. Um, I spent extra time learning, extra time doing like certificates on Coursera, doing certificates on edX, Udemy, whatever the case may be. I spent my time after work making sure that I knew the answer. So I think that grind in itself kind of gave me the confidence because I spent the hours, I put the work in. I
Right.
did like I put the work in because I knew I would have to prove myself. I think I went in there knowing as a black woman in tech, and I'm not the normal face that people see because I'm the unicorn in the room, right? I'm always the person. Pretty much most of the time, it's just me. So I went in there knowing that I have this to prove. I have to bring it because number one, what I always remember is like it's my responsibility. Because I don't want to call it a burden. It's my responsibility to make sure that I show that we can, so others can too. And because
Mm,
I went in there knowing that I'm gonna have to prove this, knowing that I'm gonna have to bring this energy, bring the know-how, I went in there and I made sure that I brought it with confidence. Like, and I feel like what I've also learned is having that level of confidence in the room creates a level of trust that even if you didn't know what you were doing, you've given people that, and the sense that they should trust you, that you do have the answer because you're bringing that level of conviction that you do know what you're doing to the room.
right.
So, but I did put the work in. I had to put the extra work in after work. I was spending time like getting certificates, brushing up on what I thought I knew. Because definitely grad school gave me a really good foundation, but definitely the real world taught me otherwise
Yeah.
as well. So it was definitely
Yeah.
helpful to kind of for myself.
I think that definitely speaks to when you know what you're talking about. It's definitely a lot easier to get into these rooms, especially when you're the only one. Um,
Yes.
you mentioned, not really calling it a burden, but like wanting to basically put on for like, represent, what I'm saying? Like show that we belong to be in these rooms and everything like that. Um, do you feel like with that mindset, did that come from your parents or like where did the mindset come from that like I'm gonna show and prove, like you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna show that I belong to be here.
That mindset came from the fact that I think maybe because I'm a mom and I feel like I don't have the choice to not be successful. Because if I
Okay.
don't succeed, there's someone depending on me that depends on my success. So like there is no no, right? So I don't get the no and the period, right? I
Mm,
get the no but because there has to be something else because I don't have the option to be unsuccessful. And
got you.
taking that
Yeah.
option away, I feel like if everybody took the option away of being unsuccessful or something happening contrary to what you want to happen, that their mindset would be completely different. Because if there was no other way, you'd make that one way work.
Right. Yeah. So I guess before we move on, it just really just kind of sounds like for one, the mindset, like your mindset is very much like I don't even know. I guess
Bullish
You're,
is what they would call it.
yeah, I
Bullish.
was gonna say strong will. Like you
Yes,
gotta,
bullish. Yeah, very, very strong-willed, very
yeah,
bullish.
yeah, you got grit, and I think that you need that. You need that for sure. You know what I'm saying? Especially as a mom, as a black woman, that's something that you gotta make sure that you're not getting like walked over and stuff like that. You gotta make sure that, like you said, you're putting yourself in a position where you can take care of the people that rely on you, depend on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I love that, man. I love that. All right. So I guess next we could get into. I'm trying to make sure I don't have any other questions about this. Okay. Yeah. So next question is, what adversity or obstacles have you had to overcome? You mentioned sometimes being the only person in the room. So like I'm sure you might have gotten that like isolated feeling and stuff like that. So like, how are you dealing with that type of stuff? But also, what obstacles have you had in general?
Yeah, obstacles, I would say, like, to just be completely honest, is just navigating, you know, navigating. COVID was tough,
Mm,
and I got the degree during COVID. COVID was a blessing to me, but at the same time, it allowed me to see who was really for me and who wasn't for me.
mm,
I think that obstacle of, when you're trying to level up yourself, you really see who is here to lift you up and who is here to step on the floor to make sure you stay down. I
mm,
think that navigating grad school during COVID with a 2.5 turning 3 year old who doesn't understand why they can't go outside, and then that sleepy time is sleepy time because then after that I'm jumping on a call. Really understanding where to get support from.
mm,
That was because then I didn't. After I got burned, I'm like, oh, I don't know who to trust. I know I have this mission that I'm on. I'm on this journey, but who can I really ask to help me? Because it
mm.
takes a village to do anything, whether you're raising a
Yeah.
child, whether you're getting a degree, it is a village that it takes to get from point A to point B. And I would be very shocked if there was one person who said they did it all by themselves without any help.
Mm,
Help comes in the smallest forms, whether it's just, waking up on the right side of the bed. So that in itself, to me, speaks volumes. But in general, just knowing where support was going to come from, knowing where support is going to come from, how to get it, and can I trust you with this, to help me on this mission that I'm on. That was definitely one of the toughest things. And also sacrificing time that I knew that I was taking away from my child.
right.
I know I had the bigger idea. I knew that I wanted to provide this life for her. I knew what it would do and what kind of trickle effect it would have, once everything started to come down from this initial sacrifice. But once it was done, I knew what her life would look like afterwards. And it's kind of
Mm,
hard to explain the vision to someone who's 3 years old, right? When they don't have the person, they don't have the life experience, right? They haven't been
right.
here long enough. To understand, like, what am I doing? Like, why is this important now? And I think at the time, her father at the moment just didn't we just didn't understand. Like, I understood that COVID was happening, people were going through things, but we just didn't understand or align on those things. And I feel like sometimes it might not be the father, it might just be just anybody in your life, right? Friends,
Mm,
family, may not understand like the vision, right? Because even if you laid it out to them, like, maybe they just don't have the scope. If
right.
your eyes can only up to a size 10 and you need to have size 10 vision to see it, but you're only looking with a 5, you're never going to see the whole picture. You're
Yeah.
just not built to see it, right? So just knowing that you're lining yourself with people who have that 10 vision, right? Can you see 10? Can you see 10? Can you see 20? Um, Beyond what I can see, knowing who those individuals are and aligning with yourself, because energy is definitely contagious. And
Mm,
that was something I had to navigate as well, right? Being in the room with people who had the same vibe, the same energy to propel you forward. Because I'm telling you, you know when someone's having a bad day, and why do you know that? Not just from their physical expression, just the energy that they bring with them.
right.
Um, so being around that, making sure I negate that, make sure I moved away from those situations, definitely helped me. But it's definitely something that wasn't at a face of adversity. Just being
Mm,
in the room. Um, I would say another thing that I had to. It was just the fear. Like, although I'm confident, confident people still have fear. I'm pretty sure
true.
runners, they know they can run that, they know they can run that sprint in this much time. They've done it before over and over again, but you still have a fear of the what if.
Mm,
Just constantly reinforcing my mind, building my mind, reading books that help me change the way that I think, my perception of the world, and how things happen. Just navigating myself, right? Like my
mm,
biggest opponent, aside from the outside things, so those things can be controlled, right? You can change your space, you can change your room, you can change your location, but you are you.
right.
Navigating your mind and facing yourself, like I said before, being honest. I think that is the biggest fight that anybody will have, especially when you feel insecure.
Yeah.
You'll see the truest version of yourself when you feel insecure about something. And I think navigating those insecurities, why didn't I do this from before, right? Asking those questions, are you sure you can do this now?
Hmm.
How do you know? And how do you know it's that? Like, do I know? I don't know for sure, but I have this feeling, I have this gut that tells me that I know that this is what I need to do. And then just clinging on to that energy, right? Because that one uplifts me versus the other one is going to bring me down. So navigating those things, fear, being in the right spaces, motherhood at such a
Hmm.
young age, child. Constantly just reminding yourself that you got this and it's going to be better days are coming. And they sure have.
Wow. Yeah, you got into some real stuff. Like, um, that community is super important. No matter, like you said, no matter what you're doing, that community is there. And I guess during that time, like, what did you do where you felt like you might have was lacking? Like, what did you do to find that community that you needed?
Yeah. So, number one, I have an amazing set of friends. Amazing set of friends. And I'm very quick about like, I'll just like, does it feel right? Are we, my friends, shout out to Lima, Wasila, Abina, Avril, oh my gosh, Jamila, like all of those one, out of Bari, like all my really good friends. I literally can't ask for better cheerleaders. I
Mm,
remember when because they all had their masters and they're like, okay, so I know you're still thinking about what's going on, like what comes next. I want to see you win. What can we? How can we get you there? They'll sit down there for like a call and be like, listen, I want to sync up with you because I feel like you're stagnant. This is not your kind of thing. Like your friends should know you, should know how you move and operate. And I have, when I say amazing, I can't tell you because I'm blessed to have them in my life. They were checking on me. Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? How's it going? Where do you see yourself? They ask you those questions that you should really be asking yourself, but
right.
checking you to make sure that you've done the work too, right? I see that you said this to me last week. Did this happen? And checking
Mm,
in on me. You're like, oh, so keeping me accountable, right? Because I said all these things and it's cute. You can say anything. I want to be a millionaire.
right.
Okay,
Right.
be a millionaire by next week. Okay, I'm gonna check in on you on Wednesday. Have we made progress? Like, what does that progress look like? Have you made a plan? Like, you know what I mean? And then you're just like, oh snap! I know I got this call on Wednesday. Let me make sure that I
Yeah.
have. So then you start doing the things, the action, create actionable items that make sure those things get done.
Mm,
So, with that said, I must say that community, I've had that community building from the time I was 11, and I've only added individuals who literally um, match me or like can bring the same level of energy, that same level of gusto when I'm trying to tackle a problem or just navigate life in general. And I don't think that I would be where I am today if it wasn't for their support in that community.
damn.
It literally pulled me through.
Damn. That's what's up. I was hoping you had an answer like that when I asked the question. Because like the people around you, yo, is so important, especially the people you choose to be around. Like your
Exactly.
family, you know what I'm saying? Your family is your family. You know, some people you can't really not be around, but
Yeah.
your friends, like those people, they definitely like a reflection of you to some extent. Um,
Hmm.
and, you know, like that support system and everything. Like that's I love that. I love that so much. Um,
Yeah.
all right, so got into your universities. You've been doing data science for 2 years now. Um,
Hmm.
you have, you're a mom. So
Hmm.
like, where do you see yourself going? 5 years, 10 years, 20, like 20 plus years from now?
Yeah, so for me, I have a strong passion for teaching. I love it.
Mm,
That's how stars met me, right? Through teaching. I feel like 5 years from now, the way we work and how we work is going to change. So
mm,
to say with a finite answer, I know what I'll, what that looks like. I don't know what that looks like yet,
mm,
but I have a plan in that regard to say, number one, I want to be at the forefront of technology. I want to be
mm.
creating what's being created, right? I want to be a
Wow.
part of that. So, what does that look like? As I want to be a part of what's being created. Like I love innovation. I love being a part of the spark that keeps things going, right? The wave of the
Mm,
page, turning the page, and then the next page. What is on that? Like, what does that look like for us in technology? How can we optimize, what we're doing now to make it even better, right? Without like self-destructing. So
mm.
I want to be in a space where I'm creating what's being created and leaving lasting impact and then imparting that knowledge onto those who come behind me. So whether that's being a professor, because I'm already teaching right now, I'm already, assisting, SMU doing their
Mhm.
boot camp. But I want to be a part of what's being created so I can teach it to the others that are coming behind me. So that's what my
Wow.
definitely 5 years going to look like. And I just wish I could tell you what that will look like because the way of work is changing. But I know that's what I want to be doing.
Hold on, you went out for a second. You said because of the way work is changing, and then it froze for a second.
Yeah. What I was saying is, I know that the way of work, I don't know what that looks like because the way of work is changing,
Hmm.
but I know that's what I want to be a part of going forward.
Got you. So is that? I'm assuming that's 5, 10. Like regardless of that time frame, that's
Mm.
what you're going to be
Well,
doing.
I just want to, I want to say 5 years, right? Because we've seen, if I went back 5 years, our phones look different, right?
Right.
The way we
Right.
operate on the internet looks different. How much megabits per second we needed to operate on this wireless Wi-Fi connection has changed
Hmm.
just because of the nature of graphics. So I'm not gonna say give myself the 5 year plan. I know I want to be successful. I know I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to scale what I've done, learn from it, and build a business that will be at the forefront of technology, doing what I love at this moment in time. I know I want to have businesses that are generating revenue that have 7 figure income. I want, and that's what's going to happen. That's what I want, and I'm definitely
Right.
attracted to myself. But how that will happen through technology, just the way of work is changing, and I don't have a definitive answer. But I will definitely check up with you in the next 5 years, and we'll see what that
Bet.
looks like then.
Say no more. Yeah. You definitely gonna check back. You know what I'm saying. Like I said, we're gonna have you on here for sure. Especially as you're like creating the things that's gonna be created. Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely trying to see that. All right. So the second part of this question is, what does retirement look like for you? And
Mhm.
you, similarly to like a lot of people I talk to, it's just like the way you are. I can't really see you just sitting still and just not doing anything. So
Yeah.
like, what do you see yourself like? What does retirement look like for you?
Retirement looks like, so for me, retirement looks like the age 45.
Mm,
Retirement looks like I'm 45 and I've learned what I needed to learn, and now I want to learn from others. I don't think you can ever come out of the. I find myself, what I think about learning is like sometimes you're driving the car and sometimes you're in the back seat. At
yeah.
45, I want to be, I've learned what I need to know. I've been driving for the past 45 years. I'm ready to take the back seat and travel the world and learn from others and see where my interest peaks there. And
Mm,
just being just a learner of the world in general. Like that's what that looks like to me. My businesses are already successful. They're generating the income they need to generate. They're self sufficient, and I'm just governing. But at the same time, I'm giving myself space to learn the world and then just learn from everything else. Because for me, 45 years of pioneering and just keep going, going, going. You want to take some time to also learn, right? So you're still
yeah.
being humble at the same time.
Wow, I love that. Man, we gonna check back for sure. All right, so these last couple of things we can start wrapping up now. So like the last two, I've been kind of like combining them.
Hmm.
So what tips do you have for somebody that uh like we got into your story? So you got your bachelor's in something that you pivoted completely from. You found something that you loved by doing something for your old job, you got your master's while being, a mom, and I'm assuming working at the same time. So it's like,
Full time.
what advice do you have for somebody that could be going through any of these type of stages, or or just in general? And then the second part of this is like, anything you want to plug or anything like that. But we could get to that.
Oh yeah. So one thing I will say is the key word that has kept me where I'm at, or like brought me to where I'm at, is agility. I
Mm,
don't think I realized what agility actually meant until you had to be agile, right?
yeah.
Remaining curious, and there was a partner at my firm who told me it's agility. You need to be agile. You need to be flexible. You need to be willing to answer the call when you are called, right?
Mm,
Remaining flexible, remaining curious, willing to learn, and all of that comes into the fact that you have to be agile. You have to have some level of agility. Being able to pivot requires that, right? Like just even playing a sport in general, if you do play sports, you need to have that flexibility to
yeah.
make that on the turn. That requires agility, a high sense of it. So constantly keeping it at the forefront of your mind, like remaining agile, because we just don't know what things are going to look like 5 years from now. What 10 years ago we had what's it called, sidekicks on T-Mobile, and they're
Yeah.
now, right? They're obsolete,
Yeah.
and that means that I remember being like, I can't use a phone without a keyboard. I can't type on the screen. That's all I
Yeah.
do now, and that's
Yeah.
something that I had to be agile, right? I had to learn from that, and like, okay, well, I have to adapt. So remaining agile, adapting, right?
Mm,
Staying curious and staying, hungry for more in terms of learning. You can't lose when you have those things. And number two, big plug and number one reason, like if not one, there's like three number one reasons, but if I had to pick the one of the ones, um, mentorship. Please find
ooh.
please
Yeah.
find the you want to be. Right now my mentor is a black female partner at my firm that's in tech, and that's who I want to be, right? I've aligned my mind to say, whoa, she did it. Whoa, that means I could do it. Well, what does that look like? What are the conversations that she has? How does she think? Picking their brain, because to believe it or not, like people in those positions they welcome the questions because they also want to see things, see you come up, especially when they can identify with you. When you lay out the plan and say, this is what I'm hoping to see for myself. I see that partner, and every day she posts on LinkedIn, she's posting a motivational quote. She's posting, have you heard about this in tech yet? She's telling you what to be, to look out for, what to see. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like I'm looking, my eyes are on the hill, right? And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, cool. I know what I need to be doing. And I know what,
Mm,
level I need to rise to in order to make sure that I get to that point. So I'm aligning myself with people who are doing that. Mentorship is key. You can only get the keys, you can only get those gems, you can only get those dimes from the people who have done it and have done
yeah.
it for themselves successfully, right? Even if they failed at it, they can tell you what you can learn from. You
Mm,
need to find leadership. Align yourself with who you see yourself in the future. So 5 years from now, if I want to be that person or be in that position, you need to get some mentorship from somebody who's either in that position, that person that you're looking at, or find someone. And trust me, there's so many people looking to participate in those things. I'm willing to help people right now by just having this conversation,
right.
right? Because it's
Right.
going to inspire someone. That's mentorship within itself. Whether it's just this one conversation that could lead to many other conversations.
Right.
So definitely agility, adoption, and mentorship.
Mm. Sheesh, yo, yeah. I ain't expected. I mean, I'm not gonna say I ain't expected, but like I said, we didn't really talk much before this interview, so I didn't know what to expect. But you came in this joint preaching today, like for real, yo. You dropping some real quality gems that somebody's gonna benefit from for sure. Um,
Yeah.
Multiple people have mentioned mentors and like the way you just kind of broke it down, like the putting the emphasis on what you said, like I forgot the exact phrase you said, but the way you worded it of like seeing the person that you kind of want to become. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like aligning yourself with that. Like, yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Um,
That's an energy in itself, right? Like
yeah.
what they're that's an energy in itself. And I'm attracted to, oh my goodness, that's what I want to be. Ooh, you're a
Hmm.
what? And you do what? What?
Right.
Yeah, and if you start looking it out, I promise you, if you seek, you shall find. So
Yeah.
definitely find what you're looking for if you set out. So
Yeah, I gotta find me one for sure. But
yeah,
I love that, and I love that you was able to find it at your company, like a
yeah,
black woman. Like
yes,
that's what's up.
yes.
Let me see where we at. All right, yeah. So, did you have anything you mentioned? Like I don't know. Do you have like a site or your gram or anything that you want to plug or you want people to like tune into or anything?
Yeah, so right now you can connect with me on LinkedIn with my first and last name, Sherhone Grant. Feel free to add me. Feel free to DM me. I definitely always respond. Uh, with that being said, like I said, please, if you are in this tech space in any capacity or in any mathematical, any space at all, but particularly for the tech space, you need to have a medium.com membership. You need to have access to those articles. You need to be at the forefront of technology, right? Because if you plan on growing, you need to learn from others. um, One other thing too, as you see, like for those who may like, oh man, if she did it, then I must be able to. Yes, you can. I don't care what your you could be from someone who doesn't even speak the language of this land, right? And anything is possible. Anything is possible. So as a black woman, as someone who's a single mom who had a toddler at the time when they were going to grad school, finish grad school, come out, land a job in the field, in the career, and work. If I can do it, you most certainly can. And if you have any doubts, let's talk about that no but situation. And you can DM me
Right.
or whatever the case may be and get in contact. We'll have that conversation for sure. I'll power you
Yes.
through for sure. Mm-hmm.
You say that last part again?
I said I can power you through that for sure. We can change the
Oh,
mindset so you can get to that. But
wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this. It's
absolutely, anytime.
This is great. You had some great advice, some tools that you dropped on people. You know what I'm saying? Like just overall wisdom that yeah, if somebody don't benefit from this, I don't know. They just wasn't listening, I guess.
No,
uh,
yeah. I hope they do. I wish I had. That's one thing. Like I said, if I was able to really look at somebody and like talk to my previous self or my prior self before I started this journey,
right.
these are the conversations that I would have had with myself. But now
Exactly.
that I know, there are selves, people who were in my position at that time that are in that phase, and hopefully, if this can help them or even just one person,
Hmm.
really connect to something they want to do, then I hope that does that for them.
Yeah. It definitely will. At least one person. That was my goal with this whole channel. Like if I could help one person,
Yeah,
touch one person, inspire one person, anything like that, like that's the goal. And so yeah, I think you definitely did that tonight. I really appreciate you taking this time.
absolutely.
Did you have anything else before we sign off?
Thank you for just providing
Of
this space and
course.
opportunity for me to share my story, for me to inspire someone else. I don't know who it will, but I just know that this is going to be something marvelous, and I just can't wait to see the byproducts. So thank you so much.
Of course, of course. I appreciate you doing, taking this time and everything. But yeah, that's been another episode of My Tech Story that we said. I'm water.